Reading aloud is important. It doesn't matter if you're a native speaker or a second language learner. It benefits everyone. Both teachers and students should know why reading aloud is important and how to do it correctly. But this is not always the case. So let's get started. Many people hate to read aloud, never mind reading at all. Reading aloud probably reminds you of sitting in a classroom, taking turns reading from a textbook. You might have been a student who dreaded to read aloud because you struggled with some of the words. And might have read slower than other students. You had anxiety to perform, and you knew you could read better silently to yourself. Other students might have giggled when you read, but what you didn't realize at that age is everyone reads worse aloud than when they read silently to themselves. Even that so-called smart student who never mispronounced a word, or so you thought, and could read quickly and fluently, even they had anxiety to read aloud. Reading is a skill, like playing the piano, shooting a basketball, or cooking. It requires practice. Yes, some students do have more natural talent for reading, but if they don't practice to push beyond their limits, anyone who works hard can and will surpass them. It doesn't matter who you are or how talented you might be, you can always get better at reading. Unfortunately, there are many issues with teaching that create barriers to effectively reading aloud. Here are some. Many teachers have students read aloud because they are unprepared to teach the lesson, and reading aloud can be time-consuming. They have students read aloud because that is what their teachers had them do when they were young. So that must be good teaching, right? Some teachers unwittingly allow capable readers to show off their reading skills, making other students feel bad. Some teachers correct the pronunciation of students instead of teaching them how to correct it themselves. They don't create a team environment in their classroom to support students who struggle reading aloud and don't understand its benefits. And some teachers don't have students read aloud at all. They claim reading aloud makes some students feel bad. But these teachers are either unwilling to try or incapable of manipulating social factors in their classroom in ways that encourage cooperation in reading. But a competent teacher knows reading is a skill that can be practiced, should be practiced, and can always be improved upon. These teachers are themselves excellent readers who can recognize areas of improvement for all their students. They will recognize that even their most capable students make mistakes in their reading, and will be able to guide them to becoming even stronger readers too. A competent teacher will create a learning environment conducive to reading practice. You can always get better at reading, and reading aloud is one way to do that. Even if you are an adult, reading aloud will make you a better reader. It will also make you a better speaker. Reading aloud is practice for speaking well. Reading aloud improves your use of proper grammar. It requires you to pronounce and practice more difficult words. Properly reading aloud will improve your pace, rhythm, and intonation. Reading aloud allows you to experiment with your voice and be creative. For example, bump, bump, bump. Did you ever ride a wump? We have a wump with just one hump. But we know a man called Mr. Gump. Mr. Gump has a 7-hump wump. So, if you like to go bump, bump, just jump on the hump of the wump of Gump. Or, bump, bump, bump. Did you ever ride a wump? We have a wump with just one hump, but we know a man called Mr. Gump. Mr. Gump has a 7-hump wump, so if you like to go bump, bump, just jump on the hump of the wump of Gump. Reading aloud improves your memory. The recitation of poetry used to be a very popular pastime for many. Whether it was highbrow Shakespeare, let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark, whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be air and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. Yet some preferred vulgar limericks. A damsel seductive and handsome got wedged in a sleeping room transom. When she offered much gold for release, she was told that the view was worth much more than the ransom. The memorization of poetry improves all of the speaking muscularity in your mouth, jaws, throat, tongue, and lungs, as well as improves your grammar and diction. Simply put, reading aloud makes you smarter, full stop. Reading aloud used to be a favorite pastime before modern technology. Families and friends would sit around the fireside and listen to a story together. Imagine if you got together with your friends each week to read the Game of Thrones instead of waiting for the next episode on HBO. Reading aloud creates social cohesion. So how do you practice reading aloud? Well, begin slowly and with an unfamiliar text. The text should be moderately challenging. A poem, a magazine article, the first page of a novel. Anything will suffice as long as it will offer some difficulty. I will demonstrate by reading something from Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. First, I will read slowly, ensuring that I enunciate each word perfectly. If I make a mistake, I will start over. Another way fathers impact sons is that sons, once their voices have changed in puberty, invariably answer the telephone with the same locutions and intonations. Another way fathers impact sons is that sons, once their voices have changed in puberty, invariably answer the telephone with the same locutions and intonations as their fathers. 2. When I come to punctuation, I will stop and catch my breath. That is one reason the punctuation is there. Because he left his dormitory room before 0600 for dawn drills and didn't get back there until after supper, packing his book bag and knapsack and gear bag for the whole day, together with selecting his best strung rackets, it all took Hal some time. 3. I will reread the same sentences again and again, attempting to read a little faster each time, but with accuracy. If I make a mistake, I start over. Plus he usually collected and packed and selected in the dark, and with stealth, because his brother Mario was usually still asleep in the other bed. Plus he usually collected and packed and selected in the dark, and with stealth, because his brother Mario was usually still asleep in the other bed. Plus he usually collected and packed and selected in the dark. Plus he usually collected and packed and selected in the dark, and with stealth, because his brother Mario was usually still asleep in the other bed. Plus he usually collected and packed and selected in the dark, and with stealth, because his brother Mario was usually still asleep in the other bed. 4. If I come to a word I do not know how to pronounce, I will Google it. It used to be we could use a dictionary to learn the pronunciation. But let's get with the times. Google allows you to practice your pronunciation and even gives you feedback on how to improve. Hal got to the console on the second ring and had the transparent phones. Aunt Anna, out by the third?
Antenna.
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 Antenna. Antenna.
Antenna.
Antenna. Antenna. I'm not British, so that A is very hard. Let's try the American.
Antenna.
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 Antenna. Antenna. Try to say te instead of ta. How to improve. Try to relax your jaw and lips. There should be the space of one finger between your top and bottom teeth. Gets versus guts.
Gets. Guts.
Nets, nuts.
Nets. Nuts.
Bets, butts.
Bets. Butts.
Many, money.
Many. Money.
Settle,
Subtle.
Antenna. Let's try again. Antenna. Wonderful. Good job. 5. Once you are comfortable with the new word, make sure you write it down and use it in your own writing and speaking. Return to the text and keep practicing. 6. After you are fluent, experiment with your intonation and tone. Intonation and tone. Intonation and tone. To communicate the meaning and content of the text in various ways, even if it is academic and serious. Mario thrashed and sat up in bed, a small hunched shape with a big head against the gray light of the window. Mario thrashed and sat up in bed, a small hunched shape with a big head against the gray light of the window. That's it. This is not rocket science, but you must practice with intent. Focus on improving your accuracy, fluency, and intonation, and communicating meaning. Yet always be ready to start over and practice 10 to 15 minutes daily. The benefits of reading aloud only come to fruition with consistent practice over time. You can always get better at reading. There are other ways to practice and reasons why you should read aloud. These are just some of mine. Please share in the comment section below some of yours. Until next time, read hard, write hard, think hard.